And good day, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. This is I think it's the seventh or eighth episode of Third Party Threat Hunters podcast. Today, I'm excited to have Dr. Chase Cunningham, also known as Dr. Zero Trust, on that program. And I'm probably going to be on mute most of this call because I really want to just absorb. As I said from my mentor, Chris Romeo, when he did his podcast, the reason he started his podcast was to just meet with cool people and learn stuff, and that's kind of where I am with this one too. So let's get it started. I wanted to kind of actually let me give everybody a level set. I haven't given an opportunity for you to introduce yourself. Actually, Chase, do you want to just give people some background about where you are and what you did?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So, yeah, I'm a retired Navy chief. I was a cryptologist. I did my time, and then I wound up working for the NSA for a while. I was at Forrester for quite a bit. Did a lot of ZT work at Forrester, and then I'm currently the VP of Security Market Research at G2, which is a great company. So, I'm just been lucky and blessed, and everywhere I've gone, it's turned into something kind of cool. I wish I could claim that it was because I was smart and knew that there was opportunities, but it's not. It just happened, and I happened to be the bumbling fool that showed up.
I sound like you just read my resume, but thank you. It's a great way to do it. And by the way, we have a guest star, Loki, my pet golden doodle. We will start doing shots if he gets up again, I guess, or every time he gets up, we have to do a shot or something. But it's a family show. So what are you going to do? I don't want to lead it off. Reason I got so excited was your new book, because frankly, the title itself is a hoot. But I really wanted to spend some time on your new book. How not to lead, and I'll let you go on with the rest of it.
Yeah, the title of the book.
Can you say it better?
Yeah, the title of the book is How Not to Lead, Lessons Every Manager Can Learn from Dumpster Chickens, Mushroom Farmers, and Other Office Offenders. And that's coming out January 24th for print, but it's pre-order right now.
I'll definitely pre-order that one. I can't. And by the way, I hope it comes out an audiobook too, because it's probably a hoot to hear it read out loud. But yeah, please tell us.
I'm working on the audiobook right now. It's all right. Yeah, it's kind of weird because they have all these requirements for like how good the audio has to be, so you can't do it like from your house. So I have to go to an actual recording studio. So that kind of.
So you actually you're doing it your seat. They didn't need an audio.
Hell yeah, I wrote it. Nobody's reading my book. That's me.
I don't want to listen to my voice. I don't want to inflict it on somebody else. So thank God they got a professional voice reader for my book. You have. I don't find your voice annoying, so that would be great. I can't stand mine. So please tell us what a chicken farmer and so mushroom farmer and chicken what?
Or dumpster chicken, yeah.
Dumpster chickens. Oh God. Yeah. Okay, please. These are. Would you mind sharing?
So in the Navy, we always called seagulls dumpster chickens because it was.
Oh right. Okay.
If you ran out of food, you might have to eat one of those things, and they were always around the dumpster at the end of the pier. But for the leadership side of it, what I was really writing about was a lot of people will call them helicopter leaders, where they fly in, say something, hop back on the bird, and fly out. And I can't stand that. If you're, and I think it's honestly, and I asked a lot of people during my research for the book, like it's detrimental to good operations when somebody just shows up, says something, and then leaves, and you're going like, well, wait, can we fix this problem? Yeah. So to me, that was a dumpster chicken where they would just fly in, caw, and then fly away. And you're going like, what?
Mine.
Exactly, yeah. Just like
from Dory.
Mine? Yeah. Like, wait a minute. Can we fix this? So that was one that I was just really glad to get to write that. And by the way, I'd like to thank Wiley because their publishing team was like, dude, just write what you want. And I was going, are you sure? Because I'll go down.
Really?
I'll go down.
Wow. That's great. Yeah. And by the way, I published a while, and I found their staff to be equally as accommodating. But that's good. That's good to hear.
And then mushroom farmers are basically, in my experience, leaders that kind of keep their people in the dark and feed them manure. And,
yeah, that's where that was going.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I mean, it's really common. It's really common, and it sucks a lot if you've ever been on the receiving end of that. Because I mean, I know, especially a lot of us in the military, right? We were mushroom farmed. You'd have your
hurry up and wait.
Yeah, you'd have your CO or somebody say like, "Well, I can't really tell you everything, but here's what." And it's like, dude, then don't say anything. Just
don't tell me that.
Don't feed me.
We have perfect intelligence. Keep going.
Exactly. Yeah, and then the other thing that I found that was interesting, and actually I didn't know this. I was doing research on mushrooms for the book, but mushrooms are connected underground by this substrata. And when I was
Right.
thinking
Yeah.
about it, I
Yeah.
was like,
Right. That makes
yeah,
sense.
I was like, well, wait a minute. When somebody mushroom farms you as a person, what happens? The stuff spreads. You start talking to others, and before you know it, all the mushrooms are kind of communicating together.
Right.
And it was
Yeah.
like, well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a problem. You don't want. That's how rumors start, and no one wants
That's
rumors.
right. And by the way, there's no mushrooms grow well in manure, so we get fed BS usually
Yeah,
along those lines too,
yeah.
right?
And the more in the dark they are, the bigger they grow. So
That's right. That's right.
yeah. So it was
How
fun
do
to write
you
books.
do you have a name for problem buyers? Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? Those are folks
Yeah.
that just get on calls every time and complain about the problems, but don't seem to have a solution for ever fixing them. Because we seem to have a lot of those everywhere I go.
Yeah, I mean, I think those fit really into that. I think we used to call them like screaming Nancy's when I was in the Navy, because that's kind of
Okay,
what it was.
I
And
know
then,
what you mean.
yeah, and then the other one that occurred all the time was the folks that are constantly seeking like professional sort of awards and prizes. We called those glitter kittens. So
Yeah, yeah.
how
Glitter
much
kittens, I like
shiny
that.
stuff can I put on my,
Yeah. Ooh,
outfit? Or yeah,
well,
like look,
like, I
look,
got this one when I stubbed my toe.
yeah.
I got this one when I stubbed the other toe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
stopped the
know
grooming
exactly.
machine. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
great.
and I got a hangnail, so I got to. I
That's
got
my
yeah.
that's my Purple Heart. Yeah.
That's my Purple Heart for the year. So okay. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I highly encourage. Uh, your writing style is great, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you write this. So if it's akin to your sarcastic wit that I hear all the time, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to
Oh,
be a hoot.
thanks.
I'm a big fan of folks like Douglas Adams and stuff like that. I don't know where you're at with that, but those kind of books where there's education as well as humor built into it really help out.
Yeah,
And
I
and
mean,
if you don't think Douglas Adams' book isn't an educational book, you're not reading it right.
yeah,
In
I
some
love
ways,
it
right?
when folks like, yeah, and I guess that was one thing when I pitched Wiley the book that kind of stood out to them was like, there's a million books I've read about there because I read all day, every day about how to be an awesome leader and how to do all these other whatevers, and I was just sitting there going like, well, where's the book that somebody wrote about like how not to be a turd, and no one had done it.
That's a great, yeah.
Somebody should. It's very important to also know how not to be a jackass. Like that's important as well.
Was what was it the old books? That when we were growing up, I was at Jane and Dick, and here's how Jane does it, and here's how Dick does it. Don't be a dick, right? Was the answer because Dick was always doing it the wrong way, Richard. So yeah, so that was always a good one. Pivoting to what topic that you're the expert at, and I'm still well. George calls me a bit of a black belt. I would probably say I'm more like a brown belt, but maybe a green belt. But ZT stuff, we were talking at the outset that you're seeing some real practical applications that will help folks understand the value of it in Australia and other places. And would you just kind of expand on that a bit for the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think the watershed moment that occurred for ZT in the US was when the presidential edict came out and said, here's our standard on ZT, start subscribing, you got to do this. And now there's a big allotment in the federal government to make that happen. Money is always what really drives things. Uh, and
Yeah,
then
yep.
recently, yeah, I think it was on Monday of this week, Australia, the government of Australia came out and said, we believe so much in zero trust as a strategy that we're going to invest in it a lot like the US. And they outlined their implementation plans up until 2030. So, and that's all being driven by the folks over there seeing that there's a value in it and
Right.
understanding that they can map to that over time. It's not like all marketology. It's not just stickers and whatever else. Like the folks that really get this, like yourself. I mean, you wrote the book on this. Like the folks that understand this approach, they know that it does provide value, and they've also looked at it and said, what we've done categorically hasn't worked. So there has to be a different way
Yeah.
to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and that was my approach in the third party risk space was, and the starting words in the book are you're mathematically inevitable to have a third party event or breach at this point. It's when 98% of organizations say in the last 2 years they've been affected by a third party incident. That's a rounding error of 100%.
Yeah.
The other 2% probably just didn't report they had a breach or an incident. more than likely, given the pace that we're seeing. And like I said, zero trust. I kept trying to put the two together because I saw in my third party risk space that fact that we weren't getting away from a continual heartbeat, drumbeat, whatever you want to call it, of every day something, another shoe dropping. And how many shoes does this caterpillar have? Well, it's just going to keep on going. So I need to find a way to connect the dots so that we can just plan for the inevitability and reduce the impact, right? And so I happened to see George Finney's talk last year at ICS Squared, and that's where I got it. Kind of made it, it had an aha moment, and really excited when I was listening to you speak at the InfoSecCon in particular, right? Because you first of all, your speaking style is so natural, and I get like a nervous wreck. I'm a turd when I get on a stage. I curse myself for writing the book in the first place. Like, why the hell did you write a book? I mean, I I don't want to get on stage. Can I just be in the audience and I'll just listen to somebody else? And your style is very casual, and I enjoy it. I'm going to try and learn from that. As well as
Oh,
like
thanks.
George. I watched George speak. Yeah, no, it's well deserved. Because the idea is that you're able to connecting with the audience and get your point across as opposed to being a nervous wreck. And people are like, "Is Greg having a heart attack?" Because I'm not sure. He seems like he's hyperventilating, right? So of course, I have to assure them I'm not having a heart attack. I'm just scared witless. But anyways, explain how some of the challenges you've seen, and I know this is a bit of curveball. We didn't talk about this at the time, but it's okay. Some of the challenges you see, why organizations are still resistant to zero trust. What's the speed bump or the roadblock, as it were?
I mean, most of them put the ultimate get out of jail card in this space is culture, and it's like, well, our culture won't allow that. And to me, I sit there and I just go, okay, fine. I wish I had a nickel for every time I was in an organization and they said everyone here's in sales. I'm like, well, I don't sell anything. Are you going to give me commission? And they
Yeah,
go, oh, everyone's in sales. Well, if everyone's in sales, then by God, everyone's in security. And because we can't have a business if we're insecure. So
that's right.
if it sticks as a stone in my craw when someone uses that because they're playing the I don't want to hurt people's feelings or piss people off thing. And really, the reality of this is how much more hurt or pissed off would your people be if they don't have a paycheck because your business went under? And this doesn't require like draconian beat folks with wrenches and whatever else. It is
I don't
we
think
need
so.
to realign, we need some technology changes. And oh, by the way, there might be a period where you are slightly inconvenienced as we stand this stuff up. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
like that's what it is. I have never today, and this is after consulting with hundreds of organizations, had a valid technical complaint or reason for ZT not being doable. It's always been culture or some executive cop out.
And honestly, I think it to your point, if you turn around on the other side of culture, ZT actually can blend well with most project agile type plans, which most organizations have adopted. Hey, we're going to go in sprints. Great. Pick your protect surface and go with one. Once you're done with that one, protect your next protect surface, blah blah blah, and then go to the next one. It's not, like you said, it's not rocket surgery. It's fairly straightforward. You just need to figure out what your most valued assets are, and start to figure out how you're going to put controls and monitors and other stuff around it. Yes, there's more complexity. I'm going from a 10,000 foot level, but you got to put one foot in front of the other. You're right. Sitting back on culture and saying it's too hard well. If you're in a highly regulated environment, try and say that to the regulators once you're breached, and see how far that
Yeah,
gets
how's
you
the
thrown.
culture doing then? Yeah.
Yeah, right. And the going concern issue is something I don't think enough folks think about, right? That ransomware and other things have actually shut businesses down and gotten to the point where they're no longer a going concern, is the polite word to say you're out of business,
Yeah.
right? So I don't think that's right. And I'm playing on that. I think one of the things that ZT doesn't get enough credit for is the resiliency play, right? That we are talking more and more about resiliency in this market because of the inevitability of downtime and operational impacts. That resiliency is your one of your also your best plays in this space, and I think ZT plays well into that.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Garbus actually just published a really good paper on his sort of methodology for data security in ZT, and he talked about
Sure,
immutable backups and those types of things. And like, folks should also look at that because you're absolutely right. This is about survivability and being able to continue after
that's a
first
great
contact.
point.
You know,
Do, Do me a favor, shoot me that link when you get
Yeah,
when you get a chance after the call. I'll include it in the notes for the
yeah,
folks who are listening
it's
in.
a
So
great
that's a
great.
great. I'll go check it out. I didn't know that as
And
well.
it's not
That's
a vendor
perfect.
sponsored, buy our stuff
Even
because
better.
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
legit useful
I know
information.
you have a problem. Here's your solution. Yeah, that's
Oh,
right. Yeah,
you need a
yeah,
hammer? I
yeah.
have the best hammer there is. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not a nail. It's
Yeah.
okay. We just
It's
hit
okay. Just
harder.
pound really hard and
Yeah,
eventually it
that's
will
right.
work.
Yeah. All right. So switching to the other topic that I kind of want to touch on was deepfakes because, frankly, I'm getting alarmed by it as well. Right? And not that I'm the last person to scare in the bunch, but normally I give that stuff a yawn because I think most folks over time up until now you could figure it out. You could figure out, okay, that doesn't look like Donald Trump. That looks like a robot Donald Trump. That's not, or whatever it is, right? But that's not getting the case anymore. And so please share.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote about this in my cyber warfare book, but the elections coming up is where it really gets me concerned because what we're talking about is the ability to undermine truth. And if you can do that, you own the
Yeah.
narrative. And China and our adversary nations are very happy to do that. I think it was this morning actually where a student at MIT or somewhere put together a video of Anderson Cooper on CNN, and it was full on video, but it was all fake. All of it was fake. None of it
Wow.
was real. And I would challenge 100 people to look at that and tell me that they knew that it was fake, and that is scary that we're getting at
That's
some
scary.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, some dude
A well-known sort of authoritative person that you would view as neutral. We can argue whether that's true or not based
the
upon
media. Yeah,
the media, but a person that you wouldn't question it could get on there and say Donald Duck is now president, and suddenly huh? That doesn't make sense, right? So there'll be something more
yeah.
serious, obviously, but
And,
that's okay.
the reason that it concerns me so much is it actually has to do with because I've read a bunch about this and did a bunch of research about like the way that the human brain is wired, and we actually process the majority of our information visually. And there was a study that was done, yeah, where if you put video content in front of somebody or written content, that you process stuff visually 60 times faster than reading it. So if that's the case, and if I can manipulate these images along with tying a narrative to it, I can just push people towards whatever I think that they need. And I don't need it for, one or two people. I'm talking about millions at a time.
Yeah,
And
right,
that's
exactly.
what scares me is I mean, there's people that think Bigfoot's running around. So why can't we make people think that, I don't know, an
Yeah.
election was fraudulent or something like that?
Well, and it's hard to use the term that's hard to unsee, right? There's numerous examples over the last several years. I won't mention some because they can get politically charged, but where the original narrative in the video wasn't what took place subsequently. It's a little bit different than a deep fake, but the story is the same. What I mean by that is the negative the false narrative got out there first, and you have a devil of a time getting the true narrative out after that. It either comes as a retraction, if at all, or it comes through court hearings, which nobody pays attention to as much as the original launch of what was the mistruth.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. First to market wins the day. And I mean, when you're talking about narratives and truth, and we do have things going on nationally where someone, it's one of those things that if you look at it from the perspective of an adversary nation, it's pretty hard to do all these infrastructure hacks and go after things like that. Whereas
Yep.
it's pretty easy to find a person who's on Twitter with 25 million, followers, crack their
Yep.
password, and then post a bunch of BS videos and just watch the world burn.
Oh wow. Oh man, that is going to happen at some point. I mean, after world burn, but somebody will hack somebody's post up a deepfake at some point, and it'll be news. And that's unfortunately what it'll probably take to get somebody's attention at that point. Um, Social media issues. Any thoughts on? Do you see the news today that they put a stay on? I was at Montana is trying to quash the use of TikTok in the state. They quashed that. Any thoughts? Their thought was that it's a First Amendment issue, but I have real concerns about the what's being presented and the algorithm that's being used by TikTok in particular, given where it's coming from. Any thoughts on your side, Chase?
Yeah, I mean, what I look at is in TikTok in China is used entirely differently than it is here, and it's pumped
Yeah,
full of educational content, and the kids can only
yeah,
have, like, I think it's 2 hours a day on it. Whereas
amazing,
here,
isn't it?
yeah, whereas here it's 24 hours a day, and the majority of content is like cats dancing and idiot teenagers doing idiot teenager things, and it's
Yep.
like the collective dumbing down of America. And I mean, maybe it's not even that they've put like this much effort into it, but they just released it into the wild, and we've just jumped on it, and it's happening. Like I don't know if you ever seen the movie Idiocracy, but it's
Yes, I have,
happening.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a portent of the future if we continue down this path. You're right.
Mike
Yeah, yeah,
Mike
yeah.
Judge is like a prophet. Mike Judge is like, the
Isn't
guy who
that
figured it
crazy?
out before anybody. And I
Yeah,
mean, I just told my kids, like, my kids are teenagers. I told them flat out, like, as long as I'm paying for your phone,
yeah.
don't
So I
even
said the
try
same
it.
thing. Yeah, if I catch you with TikTok on your phone, I'm gonna
I'll take it in the
uninstall
yard and 12 gauge it. Like, don't do it.
it. Yeah, that's exactly right. I have concerns about it, and I share the same concerns you do as well. That the algorithms seem to be designed to external to China to dumb down everybody else. Um, anything? We're coming up. It's a little over 20 minutes. So I didn't want to keep too long, but anything that you want to talk about the last few minutes? Just
Yeah, I
thoughts
mean,
and issues.
the one thing I would say is if you're still sitting there wondering if like this cybersecurity stuff, third party risk, and all those things are applicable to you, even if you're a small business, it is. If you
Oh yes.
look at the trends, and I mean, a few years ago it was all enterprise, big government getting hacked, whatever else. Those have hardened up, and now they're moving down towards the low hanging fruit, which is us. So
Right.
I would just caution people. It's not about being scared. Like, I'm genuinely not afraid, but it's just be aware, and
Right.
make sure that you understand that you are a valid, viable target for this stuff. So do something about it.
Was it you, Chase, that mentioned at InfoSecon? I know I heard it at InfoSecon from somebody about the NIST small business framework that had come
Yeah,
out.
I think
If it was,
Brian
I think,
Hagley did that too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was something that I was a bit unaware of, and I'm glad that you tapped that because for me, I think it's something that we don't understand. So I come from a large enterprise and I've worked for large enterprises, and so my NIST, I'm NIST CSF 853. That's kind of where my head is, right? Um, and we sometimes then go to try and do business with small businesses, and they like, look, dude, I don't have an enterprise risk team. Are you kidding me? It's yes, that's me, right? Um, well, there's this small business guy that really I think is very user friendly and approachable. I didn't know about it, so I really appreciated that somebody else mentioned it. Unbeknownst to my wife, I am not a know-it-all, and so I was able to go look at it and go, hey, wait, this is actually a pretty decent guy that doesn't bog a small business down in overhead because NIST and the other frameworks can do that, as we all know. Um, and it also provides, perhaps, I think, an opportunity for enterprises that use things like NIST CSF to try and map those two spaces to say, okay, yes, we know small business, you don't have that. Give us it in a NIST small business format, and we can translate it into the NIST 853 or NIST CSF. So there's some opportunity spaces in there for folks who are so inclined. I think that's something that would lend itself well, because to your point, small businesses are a target. APT's figured out that big enterprises and even three-letter agencies have spent billions of dollars making sure that they're less hackable, not unhackable, but less hackable. So what do? You go to the help that's coming in the side door that's not getting patted down or checked, and voila, you're in like Flint. So that's a great part of it. And I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to mention that small business one for a little bit. I think it's something that we have an opportunity to skate to.
Yeah.
Again, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate the time that you spent. Do pre-order the book, How Not to Be a Manager.
How not
Sorry,
to lead.
How
How
Not to
not.
Be a Leader,
Yeah.
and a chicken farm. Or sorry, a mushroom farmer and a chicken dumpster or
It's a
dumpster
pretty,
chicken.
yeah, you won't find a lot of them just out there when you're, looking for it. So I
No,
don't
it's
want to, yeah. So the title is How Not to Lead, Lessons Every Manager Can Learn from Dumpster Chickens, Mushroom Farmers, and Other Office Offenders.
it's great. All right, and it probably wins the title for the longest title in 2024. But it's
Yeah.
a great title. Have a nice holiday if I don't talk to you again, Chase, and I'll hopefully touch base with you again soon.
Thanks much.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Cheers. Guys, stay on.